too, and I believe we have a quorum, so let's call the meeting of the Police Department Committee, Building Committee to order. We have a quorum. We'll take complete attendance later, but I do want to welcome our new voting member, Tom Turrentine. Welcome, Tom.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I see Penny Ration, Paul Foley, and Amy is with us as well, though she's not an official voting member anymore. I see Michael Chen. Thank you, Michael. And that's and as far as
Paul Tully's there.
Paul Tully, thank you, and Paul Foley. So let's call it to order. Joe, are there any public comments?
No public comments.
All right, good. All right, we have the minutes. Any comments, improvements, suggestions?
Nope, not here.
I move for approval.
Second.
Favor?
All right.
Aye.
All right, let's get to our update of where we are.
Going along well, but I think I'll turn it over to Scott, who will give you a little bit more firsthand experience out there. Scott, you're muted. Still muted?
Still muted.
1 minute. Are we good now?
There you go. Yep.
Okay, great. Sorry about that. We had a little technical difficulties. Larry's battery is not working well. Good morning. Good morning on this third building committee meeting on the shortest month of the year. We had a record number of Thursdays. So we'll jump to it. So currently I'll work from the top down. We are framed 99% on the upper floor of the upper level. We are probably about 75% in-wall rough, complete with electrical trades. Ductwork has begun to get installed overhead. We are putting hangers up right now for the HVAC system overhead. And the plumber has begun his layout for the bathroom area and the plumbing requirements upstairs. So we're in good shape there. A lot of good things happening. I'm working with the building department right now. I've had Brian is ill, and we're working with Paul now. So I've got Paul is spending his time out here with me. We've walked through, and we have a good plan moving forward for all the inspections going forward. Stepping down to the main level, we have leveled and prepared the floors throughout the main level. We've done the layout on the west side, and we are now going to double back today and start the framing layout on the east side, and are expecting to begin framing tomorrow on the main level. So we've got good things going on there. Moving down to the lower level, we've completed the slab removal at the locations where the slab needs to drop, which is on the easternmost portion of the existing building. We've let's see, so I guess I'll go outside the building then. So slabs are all removed. Today we're starting to do the excavation so we can confirm underpinning requirements inside the building. The exterior building gym addition has been completely demolished. We've got about 4 more trucks worth of brick and block and debris to truck out of here. So we're hoping by the end of the day tomorrow, all building material, demolition material from the building addition is gone from the site. We are beginning.
Sorry, what block is coming out of that? Is that the terracotta block?
No, it's the CMU block. There was some terracotta, a little bit of brick, and some concrete CMU, concrete masonry unit, CMU block. That was fabricated, that built that lower level, since it was a later addition to the original structure. It used more modern materials, So it was a lot of block work, CMU work and stuff like that. So,
Okay.
so that's all coming out and it's basically gutted. We're gonna start doing the layout next week for the footings for the new addition, which will start that process going. We're gonna begin excavating the inside of the building once we establish the underpinning requirements. We're gonna start cutting the earth down so we can start preparing for the next round of activities inside the building. We have begun the removal of the moldings and structure around the underside of the soffits in the front of the building. So all the dentals and the molds and everything that goes there and the trim work. So we can get that out to our fabricator, who is going to fabricate that mimic and mirror the same profiles for that work. So that has begun. So you'll see on the front of the building, the dental molds and all the fascias and soffits are getting taken out. That's where we are. So that's kind of long story short.
Great.
So I have a question, but before I get to the question, I want to remind people, if you're not going to speak, keep your phone on mute, because what happens is even if you're coughing, the camera will go to you. So this camera, the new system works very, very well. And if you make a noise while your mic is on, the camera, you will be the focus of all. So right now, we're blessed to have a big picture of Paul Foley staring at us, and we like that. But most of you aren't maybe ready for your close-up at 8 o'clock in the morning, and so I'll just throw that.
Especially important for the remote.
Yeah, I'll just throw that out there. You had a meeting of the neighbors, and I guess a shed came up or something like that. Can you fill us in on how the meeting went, by the way, and the
So
shed
last
thing?
week, we had a meeting. It was attended by someone, a representative of the church, a representative from the condo, a representative from the daycare. The representative from condo was both from the condos and the the cottage. EMS was here and we're good. So it was good. I think it was a good meeting. Had coffee and donuts. Just to kind of walk through the process. We walked through some of the stuff we have here, logistics, how we're getting in and out of the site, what's kind of happening around you, a quick kind of step-by-step of the construction process that some may not be familiar with, how construction works. There was a little bit of back and forth. Please respect our parking. Yes, ma'am. Please put a stop sign up so people don't come out of the drive and just drive. So there were a couple asks that we addressed as best we could. But overall, it seemed positive. A couple little things we got to fine tune that there were questions asked. The one thing is the shed, try to understand what we need to do with the shed, where it needs to go, and what we're going to do with it. So that was one request. And then there was another request about the bike rack. So that was a recent request. The bike rack is now on, it's on our property side. So we've got to relocate that, and we're working with to try to just understand where that needs to go.
So if we need to tear that shed down and get these guys a new shed, we'll just take that out of our contingency. It shouldn't be a big deal, Joe. Is that correct?
Yeah, so they'll either relocate it if it's suitable to be relocated, or we could give them probably a new smaller shed. I don't know if they have a location for it in mind.
Yeah, if I may, I think the steps would be, first, where does the new shed go? Then we can examine the construction of the existing shed. Is it viable to relocate? Is the space large enough to accommodate it? And then from there, then I think that would then take us to the next question.
Whose shed is this?
It's the schoolhouse apartments, and I think they also share it with the cottage in the back for lawn equipment. We don't know. The representative didn't know exactly what was in it. So we don't know the need for that size of shed.
Yeah, they have to figure out a lot of what's going on with their use for the shed and things like that before we can go in and help them, quote unquote.
Correct. So we left it with the representative that was there, that they were going to talk and see if there was another suitable location on their property, and then we would start the conversation. And then, as Scott mentioned, there was someone else that came over to the trailer. They wanted access to the bike rack, so we'll relocate the bike side of. I don't know whose use it was for. I thought it was for the police use for their bikes, but I guess it was just WD.
Bike rack is not ours.
She had mentioned the woman here, and again, I apologize. She was a little upset when she came over, so we were trying to just to give her some information to help her out. But it was, I guess there's a couple tenants of the apartments that aren't car worthy or capable, so they have bikes. And there's 2 or 3 residents there that use those bike racks to get in and out of town.
Hey, quick question. So are these the police department sheds and bike racks, or are these schoolhouse apartment ones, and they just happen to be on the police property?
So the, speaking for the shed first, the shed is on the police department's property. It was placed there. I guess they kind of treated they're all town-owned property. They kind of treated the property line. You know, they put it on the police department property, which has some work being performed to it.
All right, so we're basically being good neighbors, even though it's not ours. We're taking responsibility for dealing with it, right?
Yeah, we're just placing it as part of this project. I think they perceived it as theirs, and I think you're right. We're being good neighbors.
So since we're good neighbors, let's not be too good. If we can just move the existing one and not build a new one out of contingency, let's do that. Just saying.
And whose is it? And it's not clear to me who owns this thing. Is it schoolhouse or is it daycare center or is it the group home? Whose is it?
It's used by, I don't know who owns it. I believe it's the schoolhouse, but the schoolhouse and the cottage uses it.
Huh, okay.
Yeah, this is a $10,000 portable shed, right, Joe? It's pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, we've, yes, correct.
Just if we end up having to do a new one, let's just see if we can offload that to Public Works. I mean, let's just keep our contingency for this building if we can.
I got an idea. We could make it the senior project in May when the seniors are looking to be useful to the community. We can have these guys come out there, build a shed. What could go wrong, Tiger? Tom, were there any comments from the EMTs? Are they pleased with the way it's been going so far?
I think so. The issue was, we discussed Tuesday night at our meeting, was the fact that I guess what they're doing now is kind of a jury rig system, given they're driven, we're on a one driveway in and out for the next year, is that when a rig is getting ready to come up the driveway, turn around and come up, and if one of the EMTs happens to be coming in on duty or something, you've got a problem there. Because if they're halfway down the driveway and the rig starts to come up, they've got to get back up. So what they're doing as a fix for now is they're sending out one of the other EMTs, a Proby or whoever, to the head of the driveway to make sure that pedestrians are stopping and sort of alert people. Anyone thinking of turning in, you can't turn in, and just a minute or two before the rig comes to be able to make sure the rig could come out without having to stop or turn around. There was some discussion about whether we should, whether there should be some sort of warning light systems put up at the top of the driveway. And I said, well, you can't get them on the state road. The state roads have real restrictions. Tiger and I talked about this 6 months ago, and I told them that was not going to be a resolution. And they said, well, what about putting something on the property? It's on our property or, back off the road, but as a warning light. But I think Alec Montgomery, who is the president of the board, has basically shut down that talk for now and just said, let's let someone come out there and we've got a human solution at the moment. Let's go with that and see how it goes. And if we find that to be unsatisfactory, we'll go to plan B. But for right now, that's how they're handling the ingress and egress of traffic from that one driveway.
We appreciate the EMTs going the extra mile there, because there's a big difference between theory and reality. Once you're living the construction and you realize what you have to do. So we appreciate their flexibility and added an extra safety measure there to make sure that everything goes smoothly. So that's much appreciated. And then in the end, we're going to see how this construction continues to go and what it's going to be like at the end. And to make
So
sure that
just on,
the EMTs get what they need.
Bill, on that point, what about, having heard the issue, does Turner have any solutions that we should consider? I mean, I just don't, I'm not sure I really like the idea of somebody in the middle of the night going out in a snowy day, standing near to make sure nobody's coming out if we have that. So maybe is there like a blinking yellow light or something, I don't know. Having heard the problem, if Turner has a cheap solution, I'd just like them to look at it and tell us, or if they have any ideas now, just for just for the EMTs to consider.
We're happy to implement. We don't really understand the functioning side of it, so we would need better direction, I think. Right,
And so now they have to use a one-way street, it's a two-way street.
right.
So that's the problem.
No, I know that's the problem.
But
I don't have a magic wand, but
Oh, Alec, Scott, you've talked with Alex, right? About this?
Yeah, yeah, we initially were trying to, I guess his first ask was if we could put like a little turn off so that someone could turn off and wait while something's going. I don't know if that solves one problem of the challenge they were having with deliveries was more of the conversation. We never spoke more about the two-way traffic challenge, which I think that's probably the best solution, is to have a human eye on it, to say, hey, we got a call. I'm standing at the top of the drive. I control the people coming in and let the truck take priority going out. I don't know more, anything you do with signals or lights or pauses has to be human controlled or managed, because it's not a regular event. It's not like every 15 minutes. Could be 2 days and no one uses that drive, and then it could be 2 days that we use that drive every 15 minutes. So whatever the solution is, having a digital or a traffic control device would be yeah.
You could put a light out there that is activated from inside the EMS building by pushing a button and have a 5-minute timeout on it or something. That's what you would normally do.
Right, so something that, yeah.
No,
Yeah,
it doesn't, it's just a warning.
Right. Fire department puts 2 people out in the street. When they move a rig in and out, they
Right.
put 2 people in the street. So I don't think it's that bad of an issue to have them walk out from the front door, even if they get in the rig as the rig's leaving. The
But
sign itself, I could put a self-actuated
But
button
the-
inside,
The
but
problem is more complicated than that, because there are times in the middle of the night when it's a second call and somebody comes from home, gets a rig, there's nobody else there. There's nobody else in the buildings. So this is not a universal solution. It works during the daytime. It's gonna work less well at night.
Well,
right,
they
but
do
how
wear
often
reflective
we got a
jackets.
second rig go and then somebody drive in with a
Right.
delivery or something.
The EMS is not like fire where they have paid people on duty. There are no paid people there. So oftentimes at night, there's nobody in the building when they're out on a call. We just need to come up with the best solution. Okay, Tom, you've got that one. We'll leave it with you.
Yeah, and I'll talk, Scott's been great about getting over and dealing and interacting with Alec. And I think, Scott, correct me, but I think you and Alex seem to have a pretty good working relationship, right?
Yeah. He hasn't cursed me out yet, so I think we've been doing pretty good. But
Well,
whatever.
you're in the minority.
No, listen, what we certainly are here to try to help however we can. Some things are just a little bit beyond us with some things, but certainly whatever he needs, I try to respond best I can. Yes.
I'll monitor it and keep you posted.
And so that I've had multiple conversations with Alec as well. So I think he's happy with the solution at the moment.
Yeah.
And we're gonna monitor it. And if we need to do anything additional, we'll be happy to do anything. That's where it was left. He was at the he came to the public meeting and I've also had a couple phone conversations.
All right, is that it for the neighbor, interaction with neighbors? We go back to the actual building update progress. Is that,
The only other thing for the neighbor is, I left a message for who we think was the person, who wanted the bike rack moved. I haven't heard back. They didn't leave their name, so we were guessing it.
but we think it's for the,
Schoolhouse apartments.
It's for the schoolhouse apartments. Yeah.
in the interim, what we're gonna try to do, Joe, is at least to try to accommodate and see if we can get the rack. I don't know what it's attached to. If it's simple enough for us to pull it out, let's at least get it out, and maybe we can put it kind of on a corner somewhere to just help them. You know, again, we're trying to help the cause here. So if we'll see if it's mobile enough that we can maybe at least just get it out from behind the fence and then help them at that point.
But there are no bikes.
There were 2 bikes there the other day, and then there was 1 bike, and now there's no bikes. So someone's getting in. I guess they're sneaking in, and when we're not, when we're not looking.
Next to the shed.
Yeah, so maybe we can either put it next to the shed area. It might take up the
It is
front part of a
interesting.
parking spot. So we'll try something here until we get a solid answer.
On the, going back to building update, the excavation and the waterproofing of the basement level and the feedback from our supplier, have we heard anything new there?
Right, so we excavated down, we unearthed what was there. What was there was more than just a mastic. So we had the environmental team came out, took the samples to confirm and verify this added discovered piece. Based on our excavation, there was also some transite pipe that was there. So we got the results back that the covering or the fibrous protection board was non-ACM that can be disposed of in a regular fashion, but the mastic was confirmed, yes, that is, and the transite pipe was an added feature that we weren't aware of because it was buried at the time. So now that we've got those answers, we are outsourcing the next question of can we possibly change the product or the material that is being asked to apply as the waterproofing, which will be able to encapsulate what's there to eliminate the need to remove the mastic. So that's our next exploration of that work out there to instead of paying to remove the mastic in a fashion that's kind of intrusive when you start grinding brick and tenting and all that stuff, to see if we can minimize the financial exposure and encapsulate it with a different product to achieve the same result.
Brian, do you have some thoughts on that?
I understand the concept. I just will wait to see the product that they're proposing.
Yeah, so we've reached back out, when you get a product design, you submit it, and so now we need to achieve the same result with a different product. So we'll get that to you, Brian. I'm working with Domac to go through their vendors and see what processes are available that will allow us to keep that in place. Again, so we're hoping we can find something, as opposed to most manufacturers don't want to rely on the adhesion of someone else's product. Right?
So Scott, is this like where we're digging out in front of the police building? And all right, so before we even agreed to renovate the police station, we had Brian come and look at it and do tests and be very specific about that particular material and that material working for our project.
Right.
So I'm just a little concerned. I mean, this has to be a really good fix. We don't want any less quality.
Agreed.
On this other, so I'm just a little concerned. I mean, if we can use the material we selected and.
Agreed. We don't, no, certainly we will take all the proper steps to confirm that the product we're using is equal or better. But again, with this, with exposure, our obligations I feel are to mitigate cost exposure. And if we can minimize cost by maintaining the integrity of the waterproofing with the same or better result, then we're going to explore that. I think that we owe that to you.
Yeah, I'm just going to echo.
What Penny's suggesting is this was a known condition.
What actually Fuss and O'Neill indicated that there was only 25 feet of material that needed to be abated. So they didn't
25 square feet.
understand the intent of the design.
Right, there was only 25 square feet shown on the documents. And then as we excavated, we realized that it was more than just 25 square feet. So that put us in the position to understand what exactly is there and to clarify and confirm what we, what we did. So now that we've exposed it, it's opened up our minds to different processes for cost as well as quality.
May have only been 25 square foot, but it was supposed to be representative of the whole front face of the building. You were not just supposed to waterproof that 25 square feet.
No, you're correct. The waterproofing scope was correct, but Fuss and O'Neill, they quantify to the bidders what needs to be abated. So I don't think they understood that we were gonna be waterproofing the whole thing. They thought we were just gonna be drilling a couple of holes for new
It
utilities.
sounds like the building committee was misled by somebody.
Yeah,
Well-
this is concerning, I would say, because this is one of the key considerations we had about staying with the current building and the lower level and the water issues. So this has got to be done right. And I mean, why would anyone think it's only 25 square feet if we're trying to keep water off the whole front of it?
So just to kind of talk about this in a little more detail. There's a existing waterproofing membrane on the building, which is for the lack of a better term, it's tarred. It's an applied product. It's sound. You can go over the top of it. And that is what we're attempting to do, is to make sure we go over the top of it and encapsulate it. So there's no need to grind off all this asbestos that is intact and not friable, only to grind it, make it friable. It's just best practices. It will be best practices to leave it there. And I think that was the assumption that was made by the consultant when done. Since then, I think the waterproofing contractor, when their vendor comes out to approve the details, they might have some concerns about going over an existing product. So we might have to do some additional testing, some pull testing on it, whatever we need to do to make sure that that's a sound start to apply the waterproofing membrane. And what Scott is doing is bringing out the manufacturer for the waterproofing to go through alternative details to make sure that we can have a warrantyable product that is a waterproof membrane that's going to last for the next 50 years. So I think that's where we're at. If we had to pay for additional abatement, whether it was we paid for it, where we would put it in the budget before or put it in the budget now, the cost isn't different. It's just a matter of the timing of it. There was no, something was going to be free and then it wasn't going to be free.
So I'm assuming that we can find something to encapsulate this with, the kind we used on the floor at Saks or the kind we use on lead paint covering. There are many encapsulant paints. And I assume we're going to put a membrane over that.
Absolutely.
That's what we'll be looking at, to make sure
There'll be
that
a-
it's
there'll be
getting
a s-
something that's as good or better.
Okay. Yeah, I
Well,
just wanted
I'll
to
have
say
the-
that this is a key area and we want to make sure this is right. We do not want to have, and it's also the type of thing where if for some reason it leaks later, it would be a very expensive repair to dig it all out and do all that. So it sounds like you're looking through all the materials. I wanted to give you some of the background so that you understood how key our confidence in the original material was.
And
Exactly
also,
right, Penny.
I'm sorry. Also, do we know when we will have an idea of, what material options there are and then how this could impact the scope of the cost of this? Would that be in a couple weeks or when might we know that?
Yeah, so we've reached out to we got the results back earlier this week. So I've reached out to the waterproofing company, and I got to give them a week or so. So we're hoping by the end of this week, mid next week, we'll at least have a direction, a thought process of yes, it appears as though, or no, it doesn't appear, and then we'll take the next step. But our drive right now is, we've got the information, and we're trying to find the right vendor for the right with the right product. So I'd say within the next 2 weeks, we should be solidified. This is from an overall schedule process. We're in good shape with that work. It's kind of like isolated. So it's an isolated work area. We're working in and around it right now with our work overhead for the replacements of the moldings and stuff. So right now it doesn't seem to have schedule impact. I'd rather take the time up front, get it right. To everybody's point, this is a priority location, and I don't want to sacrifice our search of the right product to solve the right challenge.
If this guy comes or gal comes back with the wrong answer, let's find another vendor to get a second opinion.
Well, and just so we know, so like, let's say we have to stick with the original product and we have to do the extra abatement. How much money are we into? And that would be the outside scope of the problem, right?
We haven't gotten that pricing yet.
Okay.
All right, so we'll know in 2 weeks, basically, right? How this is gonna unfold. All right,
Fair, yes.
okay. Okay, fair enough. Keep us up.
Larry, you want to do the number side?
Sure. Yep. I'm gonna steal the screen for a second.
Just a quick introduction. I know that Larry went through and highlighted the items that have changed since the last meeting so that we can go through it very quickly. And there's only a few items that have been added since the last meeting. Obviously, we can go through anything that anyone has any questions on, but for efficiency, the yellow is what's changed.
Thank you, Joe. Yeah, that's the idea with that's the color scheming on this log. So to Joe's point, there are a few things was added, and then a few things was changed from the last report that we saw from the monthly report. So I'm getting some more cost, finalizing the cost for the ASI number 1 that we have, and I'm just finalizing with some of the subs and make sure all the rates are correct and all the hours make sense. So this is it was changed, and then for the code review update set, the other change is the temporary gel cell. Now that we're finishing up and we start getting all the final costs, and it was it's coming down from original estimate, and just again it's working to the last, the looking through the rate, looking through everything makes sense, checking all the tickets, and I should be able to finalize that cost as well. The other one is the delayed. We look at through because of the gel cell and the break, and then we looking through the schedule that we have, and we're adjusting accordingly and finalizing the cost impact for that. So those three are the changes from last report, and the added ones are there are 3 of them. We added it since last meeting. There's one of the ASI came up is the at the front of the building. There's a new droplets detail that we just the for the sanitary force main. So just a plot number right now. We finalizing the cost because there's some credit as well too. So right now, from what they owed originally to be a lower elevation. So right now I'm getting that part of it as well. The other 2 is just internal, using a GMP holds and allowance for full patching, and also so getting some early door frame delivery. So our current budget. And anybody have any questions?
The screen, we can't really
Sorry.
do the descriptions very well, but I think what Larry's saying is the of the three new items, the first one, we had to lower the force main coming up the drive to hit certain inverts. So there's a nominal amount of additional cost for that. The next two items, expediting the door frames, fairly long lead item, and once we have existing conditions and whatnot, we can release those. But we paid a little bit of a premium out of one of our holds within the GMP, so there's no impact to the bottom line, but it's a hold that we just review and get approval from Joe. So that's why there are no dollars associated with that. And then the last one is the existing floor, patching some of the holes in there. When we put the self-leveling in, so there were some areas that it was dripping through, so we had to plug those up. So that's another item that we're addressing with a hold.
Okay,
Or
let's
actually, it's
go
no
back to the
allowance.
top. We couldn't hear what the explanation was on the top either. So start again. What's the
Okay.
code review update? What's that all about?
So the first item is Brian issued some updated drawings at the very beginning of the project. So that was ASI 1, I think it was, yeah.
Yeah.
So we originally had just a plug number, I think 10,000 there. We've now gotten sub input, so it's increased to about 36,000, and so we're almost ready to finalize that and submit that for approval. But that's where that's going. That was a bunch of little code updates, and it was really Brian's first update to the drawing.
Items on the jail cell.
Yeah, so the jail cell, we originally had a target budget of it. Go to the right a little bit.
Sorry.
Larry, of 253 was the estimate from our SPO group. Now that it's coming down the home stretch and Larry's gone through and there are a couple things that needed some clarification and adjustment, it's tracking closer to 178. So there's about an $80,000 savings there, which obviously good news. The next one is was the staff adjustment, and that actually represents two things. That's about 2 weeks. Half of that is associated with the jail cells, and then the other half is for the removing of the brick. The delay for taking down the building because we had to peel off that outer layer of brick. So it's about half and half, but all considered, it's still under the 80,000 through the original.
Good.
So I had a question. I didn't see a PCO or anything about the terracotta and the gym, and I was wondering where we were on that.
That is still in process. We've gone down and we've examined it. We have sketches going out on how to modify it, and they have not had a chance to put a price on that yet.
Okay, thanks.
Whenever you see an ASI here, an ASI is something that we distribute as a supplemental instruction. So that's anything that we're changing the documents. So you see we're down to ASI 11. So we've issued 11 directives to Turner on how the documents are to be changed or revised. So that's the ASI number. That represents something that we're instructing Turner to do. So that would be an ASI that we'll probably be issuing. So you say ASI 12 would be the revision to the physical training room wall.
Okay, and that should be in 2 weeks as well.
Yes.
Okay.
And then just as we're doing some of our exploratory digging, we're finding, obviously, as we expected in a renovation, that some footings aren't exactly where we thought they would be. And in some cases, there aren't footings where we think there should be one. So we're in the next couple of weeks, we'll also be getting a much better feel for some of those existing conditions. We're coordinating with Brian and the structural engineer path forward.
Thank you. But yeah, that's the nutshell on the financial side.
So just one quick question. So we're basically well within budget, right? No major issues here, right?
Not that we anticipating at this point, I think all the major one that we anticipated is identified right now. I think we've been discussing so far. So so that's where our current what we know. So and hopefully nothing more than not more or less than what we have. That's
Yeah.
that's
That's
Yeah,
great.
we
And how-
expected this, Michael, we expected this phase of the project to be the, the highest risk in terms of surprises when you're tearing things apart. And, yeah, a couple of Vestas things, a couple of structural things, and I think that's what we expected.
And the cell, of course, those were the curveballs that were thrown at us at the beginning of the actual project. And we've gone through a big chunk of the risk period. Doesn't mean we're other things getting wrong, but so far so
no,
good.
That's great. How much contingency do we still have? Do we know?
I can answer that. So, we've been tracking the soft cost for you guys, and with all the PCOs that we've encumbered from Turner, right now we have about 1.5 million in contingencies on the owner side. So we've spent about $400,000 of contingency so far, and the big portion of that was that temp gel cell and the abatement piece of it. So still looking pretty good. 1.5 million isn't bad considering we're probably about 75% through the risk period. Turner can speak on their contingency.
right now we have about a little over $650,000 left in our contingency. We're tracking.
Okay, so we're in pretty good shape there, sounds like, given we're through the major part of the risk period.
Yes.
Great. Thank you.
So I will mention that Jim and I presented to the Board of Finance, and they were we gave them basically the same update as far as the dollars go, and they really haven't changed much since that meeting. But they did basically ask us to do what we could to not spend the contingency. So I'm just that's what we were asked to do. They did specifically talk about like the window upgrade. And they were in complete agreement that that was like the right thing for the committee to do, to add that option work. But they are looking at for us not to spend the money.
At this point, we're not going to give any contingency back until we get way farther down the plan. As Ty just said, we're 75% through the risk phase, high risk phase, but there's going to be a risk continuing. So I think we're in a good place and just hold steady on course.
Yeah,
I'd also feel better when the switching equipment is in our grubby little hands too. That'll be a happy day.
Yeah, let me give you just an update on that. This is industry wide. Obviously, our project is foremost to us, but so we do a lot of work with Square D, which is Schneider Electric. There's a meeting next week nationwide. We're sitting with Schneider. Our project is topics of discussion right now. As I've indicated, it's tracking to be October 4th. Certainly don't want it to slip beyond that, but intent is to really all that information, hard commitments. Wheels are turning.
I'm sorry, which equipment is this? What switching equipment? I'm sorry.
This is the switch gear. This is the main electrical gear
Oh.
that distributes throughout the building.
Got it. Thank you.
Right, we did everything possible to get the town to approve money, to get the thing ordered early. I mean, as a building committee and from Turner's perspective, we've done everything possible. Brian as well to help be involved as well to get an order in, get our place in line as early as we possibly could. Whether that was early enough, we'll know more next week. Any other updates that for the building committee?
Bill, I have some new business if you want to take it now or later.
Now,
Okay. While Turner is concerned about demo right now, I'm concerned about final finishes. So we're working on putting in final finishes to the building. And whenever there's an aesthetic consideration, I'd like to just put it in front of the building committee because you should be involved in the aesthetics and final look of the building. So what I'm showing you is the ceiling plan, and it's the public lobby. Coming in from the exterior, you go through a vestibule, and then in the lobby, we have 3 ceiling locations where we have decorative lighting fixtures. The decorative lighting fixtures are just shown by these symbols. And in the original design, we had picked a lighting fixture for the lobby. Well, the electrical contractor has elected to substitute that fixture. And the reason they're substituting it is they're buying fixtures from a different lighting vendor than the vendor that we had specified. So this is common. It's something that we have to work with the vendor to see if they can get something that meets our aesthetic. And we're trying to get an aesthetic that pays respect to the 100-year-old school. So when you come into the lobby, these fixtures are going to look like an old schoolhouse fixture. So this is the substituted fixture that they are proposing for the public lobby. Now, I don't have an objection to it, but because it's an aesthetic, I just wanted to put this in front of the building committee to see if anybody else has any concerns with this type of fixture in the lobby. Obviously, it would not be a brass. They have different metal finishes. We would probably look to go to a darker color on the metal. But I just wanted to put this out to the building committee if they have any.
Brian, can you show us what you were originally what you had originally spec'd?
Let's let me find that for you. Give me a couple minutes on that because I've got to go through my file.
While you're looking, could you tell me why you want to make the brass darker, or what? I'm sorry, what's your thinking on that?
We don't have brass throughout the rest of the
Lobby?
project.
No.
We do have other finishes, other metal finishes, but we don't have any brass in the project.
I mean, what about the lobby as a whole? I mean, just in terms of whatever finishes are on other appliances in the lobby, if there are any. You want to have them match, I assume, or complement each other.
Yeah, and we have more dark bronze going on in there than brass.
Right, okay.
Yeah, as Brian alluded, this happens on every project. The electrical industry is set up in such a way that certain manufacturers are aligned with vendors, and they have sort of buckets that they control, and they don't like to go outside of the buckets that they because they have to go to a vendor. They did, but this happens on every project that and most manufacturers have knockoffs of the other people's fixtures. So it's game we play. Turner has been dealing with this so long that we now we have our own group, like goes out and gets switch gear. We also go out and buy lighting fixtures. So we go directly to the manufacturers and avoid all this middleman. Probably not a dollar issue.
Well, Bill, I don't want to hold you up, so maybe let me research that answer and we'll come back to it in a little bit.
Okay, I appreciate that. And as far as
And Brian, when you
Did I lose the audio?
Yes, now you're back. Oh, wait.
I think we
Sorry,
lost.
were you able to
Yeah.
were you able to hear me?
Oh, now I hear you, but you cut out.
Okay. When you send over the picture of the old fixture, the specified fixture, can you also give us the color, the finish?
Yes, yes, of what was specified.
All right, so even if we don't vote it on it or pass it, approve it today, we could do that via email with some pictures and attachments to get that done. Because actually, we don't meet for 3 weeks, right? Our next meeting is March 14th, the joys of leap year. So our next meeting again is March 14th. So I want to make people aware of that. Is there any other new business? Next steps, we all good? Is anything else for the building committee to deal with for the next 3 weeks?
No, just there's a couple pricing exercises that need to that next meeting.
And as Amy and Penny alluded to, when it comes to, we looked the public in the eye and said we feel very, very good about waterproofing this building for the next 100 years. We went through it in great detail with all the elected bodies when it comes to waterproofing this building for the next 100 years. And so we're keenly interested in the final way that works out. One other question on that issue, in talking with Paul Foley, from whom I get most of my great ideas, he asked me, hey, why don't we just excavate the thing out and cover it over with a grate and just, instead of putting the dirt back, sort of take it out, 5 feet and have an excavated element to the basement. Then you don't have to put dirt back up to it.
Personally, we're gonna have to encapsulate it, so it won't look like brick after this. So I think we have to do some kind of a treatment. Probably
No,
won't work.
this would be a different solution to just think about. It'd basically be putting the windows back in on the ground floor.
With
So you
that,
wouldn't-
you would have to do the abatement then, because I don't think you'd want to see the black staring you.
We do anything except encapsulate it, we're gonna have to remove the master.
Gotcha. Now I understand. All right.
As I said before, if it's a lousy idea, it was certainly Paul's.
Thank you, Bill. I appreciate it. I'll take full ownership of all the lousy ideas. That's why I'm on the committee.
So should we go back to Brian's aesthetic here?
This is the fixture that we had in a satin nickel finish in the specifications. They had tried to give us a fixture like this, but I was not liking the proposed solutions. So I went more to this older schoolhouse look that I put up earlier. So this was
How many of these are we
specified.
talking about? How many of these are we talking about?
There are 3 in the
Why don't we just-
lobby and there are some in the lower level corridor.
Why don't we just have somebody other than this recalcitrant vendor or subcontractor, somebody else go buy it and give it to the subcontractor? Can we do that, Ty?
If
How do we do that?
you like this aesthetic better, we can continue to talk with the vendor about trying to match this or get this. If you like the aesthetic that I showed you originally, the first one, this, then that's also an option that we can go with.
Why don't we ask Ty to see if he can find somebody else to buy it from the correct vendor and we'll just hand them over to this contractor to install.
I agree with that. I mean, Brian, your initial product is just it's the one I like. And I don't have strong opinions about lighting fixtures usually.
How many fixtures are there? Just one?
No,
There are 3 in the lobby and I think there are 4 downstairs in the corridor.
So I would say keep working with the vendor because the vendor bid this out, right? And now the vendor's trying to get a less expensive item. So just, I think your original aesthetic was better.
Okay.
So I would keep pressing him on it.
Brian, is it fair to assume the one you're showing now is cheaper than the original spec?
We are not actually doing this off of cost. We're doing.
I know,
this-
I'm just curious though.
Once we resolve the aesthetics, then we'll resolve the costs, but,
I see.
it's.
So you don't have the cost right now. You don't know what the difference would be.
Right, different vendors have different lines within their offering.
Right.
And they're just saying to us, they don't have that specified line within their offerings.
Right.
Whether they can go out and get it, we can still have that conversation, but up to this point, they're trying to find something that would meet an aesthetic that we're trying to match or improve upon what was specified. If you feel we're not going in the right direction, we'll continue to have a conversation. That's what we'll do.
One possibility is get Ty and company to go buy 3 of the correct ones for the lobby, and we could use these in the hallway downstairs where the public doesn't go very often.
Well, I'm gonna have them match. I'm gonna have, whatever's happening upstairs, we're gonna have it happening downstairs.
Oh, we're talking about a de minimis amount of money here. Let's just get the right six fixtures, and if it costs an extra $1,000, whatever, let's get it, just do what was proposed and what we agreed upon.
It sounds like you like the aesthetic of what I picked originally than what we're showing you now. So that's what I needed to know. Thank you. I just want to get you involved in the decision making.
No, thanks. Could you send those
We
around?
appreciate it.
Could you send those around? They're hard to see on a screen here, but if we could have them sent to us in an email, that'd be helpful too. Right?
I can send
All right, is there, thank you, Brian. We'll do that, Paul. Anything else before we, adjourn before 9 o'clock here? Anything else? And again, our next meeting is March 14th. All right, motion to adjourn.
No, hold it, Bill.
Oh, one
before
more?
that, Yeah, if we could get those cost estimates sent out before that meeting would be helpful for the terracotta wall changes downstairs. Any of these updates, as soon as you get the update, could we get them to take a look at them before a meeting? That's what I would request.
Agreed, Paul, again, because we're not meeting for 3 weeks. The last thing we want to do is, slow the project down based on our approvals. So we expect that as information becomes available, we'll be able to circulate it amongst the building committee if a vote is required or an approval is required, or at a minimum, just to keep us updated on what's going on with the issues that have been identified. So
That'd be very helpful. Thank you. Motion to adjourn.
Yep, now we're adjourning. All right. Thank you. Thank you, people.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, bye.